I'm often being asked whether digital is really such a high priority topic and is it really at the top of the board agenda. We run a study every year on board perspectives of risk, and there are two risks that have now moved rapidly up the agenda and are now sitting at number 1 and number 2 across 1,000 or so organisations that we survey every year. And those two risks weren't even on the agenda 3 years ago. The number 1 risk is the risk of innovative disruption. We see organisations day in, day out being heavily disruptive, and that creates a level of fear, a level of concern within the boardroom. Every organisation is therefore stepping back and saying, what does it mean for us? And what do we need to do in response to that? Change is hard. Whatever the change, whatever the program, driving a fundamental change to the way an organisation thinks and operates will always be difficult. Many organisations are having to turn their back on business models that have worked very well for them over many, many years and have got them to being the position of market leader. And to change direction and to almost abandon some of those ideas and principles that have got an organisation to where it is today is an extremely difficult thing to do. They all understand the need to make changes within the organisation. But actually what we see in many established organisations is what I describe as a digital veneer appearing on the outside of the organisation. What that means is they are responding to this by thinking about new channels, new ways of interacting with their customers. Maybe that's through the website, maybe that's through mobile apps, but they're not fundamentally changing the way the business operates, the way the business thinks. And therefore you end up with this slightly artificial view of the world, which from the outside in looks very, very different and may give the impression that the organisation has transformed. But actually when you get to the heart of the organisation, when you look at what the organisation is doing in practice, it has not changed nearly as much. By way of an example, when I talk about a digital veneer, let me reference back to a mortgage application that I completed fairly recently with a bank. I initiated the process through an online application. But very, very quickly that application passed off to what was a very traditional process. I very quickly started to interact with somebody over the phone. That individual I was interacting with over the phone was not taking advantage of all the information they gathered from me over the years and bringing that to the decision. They started to then communicate with me via letters and post and hadn't even got as far as thinking about digital signatures and how that might replace some of the traditional approval models as part of the process. So what you start to see is an organisation that, yes, has invested heavily in technology, yes, from the outside in, looks like it has transformed. But when you get to the heart of the business processes, that same level of change has not transpired. The real challenge for me, for many organisations, is not just to create a digital veneer, to create a digital shopfront, but also to transform the core of the organisation, the way the organisation thinks, the way the organisation acts.